Have you ever wondered how ChatGPT like AI assistant is built? So today in this video, I will be showing you the step-by-step guide of how you can create your own personal AI assistant with the help of LangChain and Python. And trust me, it is much easier than you think. Before we deep dive into coding, let's quickly look at the libraries that we need for this project. The first one is LangChain. LangChain is basically a framework that will help us in building applications around large language model. The second one we will be using is Gemini API. So basically Gemini API is the API that we will be using as a chatbot brain. Number third one is python.env, a handy package to securely load our API from an environment variable. We will install all these in just a minute, so don't worry about writing them down. I will show you the exact command for each of these libraries. First, let's set up our project. What you need to do is just right click over here and create a new folder. Let's name it as chatbot, and you can click on this, and if you're on Mac you can just simply right click over here and just click on open terminal and then say code dot. It will open folder in VS Code itself. For this we have to create two files. One is app.py, which will be our main file, and the second one is our .env, where we will place our Gemini key. So we can say Gemini API key, and here you can put your API key. You can get that from Google Studio. So I will not show you, but I will put it later. So let me just save this and move to the app.py file. Now we'll install the dependencies for getting started with this project. So open your terminal. You can click on control and then backticks, or you can simply go from over here and then create new terminal. The dependency we need to install are, we can say pip install LangChain, LangChain Google Gen AI, and Google Generative AI, and the last one is python.env. So these libraries are required that we have already discussed in our previous slides. These are the packages that we need to install that we have already discussed. So just hit enter. Once that is done, go to your app.py file. Now here it's saying me to select an interpreter. Let me just go with the virtual environment one. Now we will import the libraries and the dependencies to get started with the project. The first one we need to import is import OS, import SYS, from .env import load.env, and then import Google generative AI as Gen AI. Now we will import the LangChain dependencies. So I will say LangChain, say from LangChain Google Gen AI import Chat Google Generative AI. Next one we will say from LangChain chains import conversation chain. Next, from LangChain memory import conversation buffer memory. So these were the imports that we need to install to get started. You can take a time. You can pause this video and just install all this. If there is any issue, you can just reinstall all those dependencies that I have shown you. Now we'll create a function to get the API key. So we'll say get API key like this. This. Say a string. Now we will say load environment variable. Now this means load.environment. And we'll say key equals to os.get environment, and then pass the API key, which was let me go over here and you can copy this. I have my API key over here, but will not be visible. So just copy the name of this and press enter here. So let's say if there was no API key, if not key, then we are going to give it a error message, like kind of. So we'll say no API key found in the environment variable, like this. If there is, then we will say sys.exit, like this. And at the end, we will return the key. Now we'll create another function and we'll give it a name as build chatbot, like this. And inside this, we will give it a model name, what kind of model we are using, which will be of string type, equals to and the name of the model. For now, we will be giving it as Gemini 1.5 Flash, which is very popular, which is actually a free model that Gemini provides us. And we will pass temperature as float, and it will be around 0.7. So temperature is basically how accurate you want the result to get. So it ranges from 0 to 1. 1 is more accurate and 0 is kind of random. It will not give me that accuracy, but it will give us a random answers about that question. So we'll take it as 0.7. We will create a variable. Let's say API key equals to get API key. We are calling this function which will return us the key. So the key will get stored inside this variable, right? Now we will configure our Google Gemini. So we'll say gen AI dot configure and then API key equals to API key, like this. Now we will initialize our LLM model. So I will say LLM equals to chat Google generative, and inside this it will take the model name, which will be my model name, and it will take the temperature, which is temperature itself. Sorry. Right. So it takes two arguments. One is model and then another one is temperature. Now we will use memory to store the conversation to get the result later. So I will say memory equals to, we'll create a variable memory, and then we'll say conversational buffer, which is coming from LangChain itself. We'll say conversation buffer memory. We are just calling this function. So it will store the memory. It will store all the conversations, stores the conversations, and now we will say conversation equals to conversation chain. We'll pass LLM equals to LLM, right? And we'll say memory equals to memory, verbose equals to true, like that. And at the end we will return conversation and memory. So this function will return conversation and memory, which is coming from here. Okay, so now our this function is build chatbot function is also completed. Let's move to the next function. Now we will declare our main function. We'll say def main, and we will say conversation comma memory equals to build chatbot. Now all the values which are coming from this function will get stored inside these variables. Now we will take a while loop. We'll say while input user input equals to input, and I will say u dot string. Okay, we are taking the input from the user. So if not the user input, if user has not given anything, then we can simply no input, and then we can continue. We can skip this. Now we will say if user input in slash quit, or let's say if it is quit, or is it if it is exit, then we have to exit the user, then we don't have to do anything. We can simply say print goodbye and then break. And let's say if you want to reset the memory, we can say if user input dot lower, if it contains slash reset or reset, then we will say memory dot clear. It will clear the memory for us, and we can also show a message for that. We can say memory cleared, and we'll say continue. Now I will pass the user input to the LLM model to get the answer. So we will say ask the model. We will say try, and then the response equals to conversation dot predict input equals to user input and print bot, and then whatever the response of the bot is giving us. If that is not the case, then we'll say expect exception as E, and then we can print the exception, say error and then E. At the end we will say if name equals to main, then we will invoke this function which will say main this. Now if I run Python and then app.py, you will see it's saying you, and Gemini bot is ready, and type your message. I can say, hey there, how are you? My name is Nitin. It's saying human, and this is saying, hey Nitin, I'm doing great, thank you for asking. Let's say what time is it? I don't know current. Okay, let's ask it again. Do you know my name? Okay, so it remembers the thing. If I now go and say slash reset, it's saying memory is clean. Now if I say it again, what is my name? It's saying I don't know your name, and I don't have access to your personal information. So it's working fine. Now if I say exit, okay, I understand. Is there anything else? Okay, I understand. Is there anything else? Yeah. So yeah, it's working fine. So you can see everything is working just pretty good. So now you can stop this, and this is how you can create your own personal AI assistant with the help of Gemini and LangChain. Thank you for watching.